I had so many epiphanies today that I'm just going to rattle them off as quickly as possible. Andre the Giant was a host body for Draco Majora. Andre the Giant was a host body for Draco Majora. The Pope is the intermediate between Draco and the rest of the people. The reason why Draco chooses Andre the Giant's body is because, and currently he's in the body of the Big Show, the wrestler. The reason why is because the longer your DNA is, the bigger the body you need to be in. This is why Gilbert is always talking about how his DNA is so long, and this is why Gilbert is 6'4", a Nephilim giant. This is why Pita has such a giant physique, because his DNA is very long. So if you're Draco Majora, an Elohim, you need to be in the body of someone that's like super tall and super fat, which, and this goes back to the Obey t-shirt. This Obey t-shirt has so many layers to it, because first of all, it's telling you to obey a Neanderthal, because the so-called Neanderthal is really a reptilian. And the computer that simulates this reality, remember, this is SimCity, simulated city, SimCity. The computer that simulates this reality is made up of pseudo Neanderthal brains, i.e. brains without hemispheres, because it has no emotions, and it's working its way up into the higher dimensions. So it's very simple. And even Cyrus King said that when they made the Obey t-shirt, Cyrus King said that, look in the background, Cyrus King said that when they made the Obey t-shirt, they got away with printing Masonic Secret in broad daylight, because they're using Andre the Giant's face, which is really Draco Majora, and they're saying, obey Draco, obey the reptilians, obey the Neanderthals, obey the laws of the computer that simulates this reality. They're telling you to obey the rules of the computer and the rules of Draco Majora. Another epiphany I had was love and hip-hop are so close to being the same thing. They're so close, because we all know that what happens in the physical happens on the non-physical first. What happens here happens on the other side first. As within, so without. Love is manipulating dark matter. Hip-hop is the exact same thing, manipulating dark matter. And when you take it a step further, you realize that all these chants, all these mudras, all of these mantras are all a waste of time, because the secret is that hip-hop is way more effective than chanting any mantra, than any chant, than doing any mudra. It's way more effective. You're way better off singing the song Rapper's Delight while trying to meditate than you are chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. You're way better off rapping while meditating. And I'm under attack right now because I feel like my head's like going like that. It's like they're like forcing like dur dur dur. It feels like they're going like that. It's funny. I also realized when I had visions of Neanderdyke, which this okay, I'll just have to break it down for the people who've never. There's a woman that used to go to my gym, and she was a reptilian, typo negative, melanocroy witch dyke. And I was meditating, and I had a vision of her. I've had several visions of her, and I now fully understand why, because my spirit guides were trying to tell me that she was right for me, that her archetype as a woman that works out with, basically she's the new man, and the new man archetype is the best archetype that's suited for me in my current stage of maturity. Danny J would be the perfect girl for me, but the timing with her is off. And I have a feeling I'm going to see her reincarnated down the road. I think she's going to be like my perfect wife, but I honestly don't think that this is Danny J's last incarnation, because it seems like she's still paying off the karma from her mother's side. And but I going back to the Neanderthal woman, she's the kind of woman who eats every 2 hours and takes some creatine, and not steroids though. So basically, I came to the conclusion that there's an archetype of woman that's right for me, and the Neanderthal followed that archetype, and my spirit guides were trying to communicate that to me, but I couldn't pick up on it till just today. And I mean, I always felt attraction to her. I always felt like a magnetic pull from her to me, but I never acted on it because I didn't trust it, but I should have trusted it. And if I had played my cards right, I could have reported to Fort Balls Deep, but because I went up to her and talked that crazy shit, she wanted nothing to do with me. So I definitely learned, and it's funny how creation works, because ever since Neanderthal left, there's another girl there that's a whole lot closer in age to me, and she's like the same archetype as Neanderthal, with the girl that works out and eats every 2 hours and is very lean. It's basically like a girl that's almost a lesbian but not. It's like she's right. Her male energy is so high that she's right about to be a lesbian, but she's not. And this girl and I had what I call a Lady and the Tramp moment, where I was doing like the lat pull downs and she was doing like the lat pulls, like the low rows. So I was doing like the lat pull downs and she was doing the low rows, and our eyes met, and it was almost love at first sight. And so here's where the conflict ultimately comes in. See, ultimately she's a waste of time. I mean, I could reel her in, but she's still a waste of time because she's not someone like Taylor Swift. And by the way, let me just get right into that. They want me to be with Iggy Azalea to make me more melanated, to make me more. They want to make me more of a better hip hopper and a rapper. But the thing is, Taylor Swift is more close. Taylor Swift and I have the same somatotype. We're both ectomorphs, meaning that we both have thin and narrow bones. The reason why it would never work out with Iggy and myself is because Iggy is a Gemini, and Capricorns and Geminis don't mix well, because the Geminis do not care about the Capricorn's ideals and principles. However, Taylor Swift, the somatotype, these somatotypes match with myself and Taylor Swift. And I don't, you guys may have noticed, but when you notice couples that are truly in love and couples that are truly one with each other, 9 times out of 10, they are the same exact somatotype and the same exact alien type. So in the future, I've seen myself, jacked up on the HGH nanobots, and I know better than to activate the nanobots, because not only did Lorian the magical sea turtle, not only did Lorian tell me that they were bad, well, he straight up said they were a curse. I know from my experiences on creatine that I'm just adding more muscle surface area to pump more blood. So the bigger the muscle is, the more blood needs to pump to it, and that's going to lower my vibration and lower my energy, and it's going to be a curse to me. So I know better than to activate those HGH nanobots. And if I did, I would basically become a mesomorph, and that would put me running parallel to Queen Bee Knightley, and that would make it more, that would put me at the same somatotype as Queen Bee Knightley, and that would make us more compatible. Queen Bee Knightley is very special because she is Miss Chrysica. According to Miss Chrysica, she says that Queen Bee Knightley is a royal elf, or elven royalty. At first I didn't understand this because Queen Bee Knightley is a reptilian, but I realized that the reason why Queen Bee Knightley is, she has some elf DNA, because the elf DNA is where the red hair comes from and the pink pale white skin. So if you have red hair and pink pale white skin, you have some elf DNA in you. You have, Queen Bee Knightley is basically like 33% Santa's little helper, and the rest of her is a draconian. But Miss Chrysica says that Queen Bee Knightley is elven royalty, but here's what I don't understand. Did Queen Bee Knightley evolve to become an elf, or did she devolve to become a reptilian? It seems like she evolved to become an elf because reptilians are very old and very dated prototype. But either way, I'm really starting to see how like the stars line up for Queen Bee Knightley and myself. And by the way, did you guys notice that every girl, let me just put it this way, you notice that everyone, let me put it another way, because I keep getting attacked. I noticed that Sarah Adams and I are perfect for each other, and the Adjustment Bureau didn't want us together because Sarah Adams is a master of heart. I am a master of the seeing eye. So if you put them together, that's like Randy Macho Man Savage and Hulk Hogan teaming up to be the greatest tag team ever. So if you put Sarah Adams and I together, there would be no stopping us because we would be the most powerful force in the universe. So it's very obvious that the Adjustment Bureau allowed Max Spears to live because we know that most super soldiers have the suicide programming. So we all know that the only reason why Max Spears was allowed to live so that he could essentially block me from Sarah Adams. And see, Sarah Adams is the key because Sarah Adams is a lot like Danny J, but Sarah Adams is just a tad bit smarter than Danny J because she's more experienced. See, here's where Danny J goes wrong. when I contact Danny J, she just can't have a normal conversation. She always has to say things like, "Oh, Jordan, I can't be with you because you haven't purified yourself enough." Once again, she goes back to the whole judgmental vegan thing. And she also goes back to the whole veganism is linear, which it is not. Danny believes that veganism is linear, and she's too proud to. Danny was even too proud to admit that she ate some meat and fish to try to help with her pseudo arthritis. So essentially, Sarah would be perfect if I could purify myself. And Sarah would make me, if I was running perpendicular to Sarah, I would be the most powerful. And that was the original plan, but because I'm so Sithy and egotistical and rough around the edges, that's why it could never happen with Sarah Adams and I. And furthermore, Sarah told me that she planned on start traveling by 2020, so she plans on being dead before 2020, which is really no use to me. So the vision that the Adjustment Bureau had of Sarah Adams and I was me with short hair and her with long hair. So basically, the implication is that I was a whole lot light. I was a whole lot more lighter, and I was a whole lot more less dense. But at the same time, it was a substitution for me with more love in my heart. So basically, I was swapped out with Max Spears because they didn't want the mega powers of Hulk Hogan and Macho Man running wild on the Queen of England and the Pope. So that's my story. Funny, wasn't it? Yeah, Iggy Azalea is not. I'd rather have Swift. I really much rather have Swift. And even if I can't have Swift long term, I want to satisfy my curiosity with Swift. And Swift is such a genius because she picks her friends so perfectly that she's like the best looking person out of her friends. But I got a feeling that Taylor Swift will lead me to the dark side, whereas Iggy Azalea will put me more in tune with the melanin and the cosmic forces of love.